Hello and welcome back. We're just gonna read the Bible. We're only gonna do 5 this time because I felt like 10 was too long. Because that was like almost an hour and a half or something like that. So we're just gonna read 5 chapters because some of them are gonna be long, some of them are gonna be short. I don't know which ones are gonna be which. But let's get into it. So this is Genesis 31. Jacob flees from Laban. Jacob heard that Laban's sons were saying, "Jacob has taken everything our father owned and has gained all his wealth from what belonged to our father." And Jacob noticed that Laban's attitude towards him was not what it had been. And the Lord said to Jacob, "Go back to the land of your fathers and to your relatives. I will be with you." So Jacob sent word to Rachel and Leah to come out to the fields where his flocks were. He said to them, "I see that your father's attitude towards me is not what it was before, but the God of my father has been with me. You know I've worked for your father with all my strength, yet your father has cheated me by changing my wages 10 times. However, God said, God has not allowed him to harm me. If he said, 'The speckled ones will be your wages,' then all the flocks gave birth to speckled young. And if he said, 'The streaked ones will be your wages,' then all of the flocks bore streaked young. So God has taken away your father's livestock and has given them to me. In breeding season, I once had a dream which I looked up and saw that the male goats were mating with the flock were streaked, speckled, or spotted. The angel of God said to me in the dream, 'Jacob.' I answered, 'Here I am.' And he said, 'Look up and see all the male goats mating with the flock are streaked, speckled, or spotted. For I have seen all that Laban has been doing to you. I am the God of Bethel, where you anointed a pillar, and where you made a vow to me. Now leave this land at once and go back to your native land.'" Sorry, I was a bit parched. So if you don't remember, Laban is Jacob's, what would it be, uncle? And Isaac is the father of Jacob and Esau. And Esau was predicted to be very mad at Jacob and probably going to kill him or something like that. So then Isaac's wife, or Jacob's mother, told him to flee and go back to Laban, which was his uncle, and live there until God said to come back, which is right here. So it goes on to say in 14, "Then Rachel and Leah replied, 'Do we still have any to share in the inheritance of our father's estate? Does he not regard us as foreigners? Not only has he sold us, but he has used up what was paid for us. Surely all the wealth that God took away from our father belongs to us and our children. So do whatever God has told you.' Then Jacob put his children and his wives on camels, and he drove all the livestock ahead of him, along with all the goods he had accumulated in Padan Aram, to his father Isaac in the land of Canaan." No, it does not mean drove as in drove a car. It means just drove as in drove out. So then it continues in verse 19. "When Laban had gone to shear his sheep, Rachel stole her father's household gods. Moreover, Jacob deceived Laban, the Aramean, by not telling him he was running away. So he fled with all he had, crossed the Euphrates River, and headed for the hill country of Gilead." Let me see if I can't find a map. So this would be the map. So this is where he started, and then when he was told to go live with his uncle, Oh, can you even see my mouse? There we go. So this is where he started, right here. And then he was told to go live with his uncle. So he went all the way up to Padan Aram. This is the Euphrates River right here. So when he crossed the Euphrates River, he went right here and then went all the way back down to Gilead, which is right here. So let me pull up the little thing. So this is 100 miles. So let me get some math going. So from Padan Aram, he traveled almost, I didn't say almost, like around 450 miles to get to Gilead, which is all the way right here, which is kind of insane to think about. Also, I'm going to try and do more of this stuff, like show maps and stuff of whatever I think is kind of necessary. But we will continue on reading in verse 22. Laban pursues Jacob. On the third day, Laban was told that Jacob had fled, taking his relatives with him. He pursued Jacob for 7 days and caught up with him in the hill country of Gilead. Then God came to Laban, the Aramean, in a dream at night and said to him, "Be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad." Jacob had pitched his tent in the hill country of Gilead when Laban overtook him. And Laban said to his relatives, camped there too. And Laban and his relatives camped there too. Then Laban said to Jacob, "What have you done? What, you've deceived me, and you've carried off my daughters like captives in war. Why did you run off secretly and deceive me? Why didn't you tell me, so I could send you away with joy and singing to the music of timbrels and harps?" Hold on. This is a timbrel or a tambourine. So, timbrels and harps, which you guys should know what a harp is. It's kind of like a vertical piano, but you don't play the keys, you play the strings. You didn't even let me kiss my grandchildren and my daughters goodbye. You've done a foolish thing. I have the power to harm you. But last night, God, the God of your father said to me, "Be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad." Now you have gone off because you long to return to your father's household. But why did you steal my gods? Jacob answered Laban, "I was afraid because I thought you would take your daughters away from me by force. But if you found anyone who has your gods, that person shall not live." Wait. In the presence of our relatives, see for yourself whether there is anything of yours here with me, and if so, take it. Now Jacob did not know that Rachel had stolen the gods. Oh, okay. So that makes more sense. Rachel stole the gods, and Jacob didn't know, which is why he said, but if you find anyone who has your gods, that person shall not live. So he's kind of saying, like, we didn't steal anything. Whoever stole it, you can take the life of. And that's what it's taken of. It's like, yeah, I know for a fact that we didn't take anything, but if someone did, then you can do what you will. Anyways, 33 goes on to say, so Laban went into Jacob's tent and into Leah's tent, and into the tent of the 2 female servants, but he found nothing. After he came out of Leah's tent, he entered Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the household gods and put them inside of her camel's saddle and was sitting on them. Laban searched through everything in the tent, but found nothing. Rachel said to her father, "Do not be angry, my lord. I cannot stand up in your presence. I'm having my period." So he searched, but could not find the household gods. And then 36, Jacob was angry and took Laban to task. "What is my crime?" he asked Laban. "How have I wronged you that you hunt me down? Now that you have searched through all my goods, what have you found that belongs to your household? Put it here in front of your relatives and mine, and let them judge between the two of us. I have been with you for 20 years now. Your sheep and goats have not miscarried, nor have I eaten rams from your flock. I did not bring you animals torn by wild beasts. I bore the loss myself. And you demanded payment from me for whatever was stolen by day or night. This was my situation. The heat consumed me in the daytime, and the cold at night, and sheep fled from my eyes. It was like this for 20 years I was in your household. I worked for you 14 years for 2 daughters and 6 years for your flocks, and you changed my wages 10 times. If the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac had not been with me, you surely would have sent me away empty-handed. But God has seen my hardship and the toils of my hand, and last night he rebuked you. Laban answered Jacob, the women are my daughters, the children are my children, and the flocks are my flocks. All you see is mine. Yet what I can do today about these daughters of mine, or these children they have borne. Come now, let's make a covenant, you and I, and let it serve as a witness between us. A covenant is a promise. So Jacob took a stone and set it up as a pillar. He said to his relatives, gather some stones. So they took stones and piled them in a heap, and they ate there by the heap. Laban called it Jager Sahadutha, and Jacob called it Galeed. The Aramaic Jager Sahadutha, and the Hebrew called it Galeed, with both mean witness heap, which is, I don't know, I find it kind of funny. Just the land is just because they all witnessed them piling stones into a heap, and that's why they called it that. Anyways, 48. Laban said, this heap is a witness, or never mind, it's not. Okay. I mean, it's still funny to me, but Laban said, this heap is a witness between you and me today. So it's the heap that had witnessed. Okay. That is why it's called Galilee. It was also called Mitzpah, or watchtower, because he said, may thy Lord keep... Can you guys see this? Oh, yeah. Cool. May the Lord keep watch between you and me when we are away from each other. If you mistreat my daughters, or if you take any wives beside my daughters, even though no one is with us, remember that God is a witness between you and me. Laban also said to Jacob, here is this heap, and here is this pillar I have set up between you and me. This heap is a witness, and this pillar is a witness, that I will not go past this heap to your side to harm you, and that you will not go past this heap and pillar to my side and to harm me. May God of Abraham and the God of Nahor and the God of their father judge between us. So Jacob took an oath in the name of the fear of his father Isaac. He offered a sacrifice there in the hill country and invited his relatives to have a meal. After they had eaten, they spent the night there. Early in the morning, Laban kissed his grandchildren and his daughters and blessed them, and then he returned home. So that's just a nice little story. Just at the very end, just forgave everyone and just kissed them, blessed them, went on his own way. So 32 goes to say, Jacob prepares to meet Esau. In Hebrew text, 31 or 32 1 through 32 is numbered 32 2 to 33, which makes me wonder, what is 32 1 in Hebrew text? Let me look this up. Okay, so this is what it says in So this is what it says in 31 or 32 1 in the Hebrew text. So it says, so Jacob went on his way and met him, the angels of God. And then, which would mean that it says, well, I guess it's the same one, which I don't know why it would be that. Unless they just completely skipped the whole 32:1 and then, interesting. Oh well. Jacob went on his way, and the angels of God met him. When God saw them, he said, "This is the camp of God." So he named the place Mahanaim, which means two camps. Jacob sent messengers ahead of him to his brother Esau in the land of Seir, in the country of Edom. He instructed them, "This is what you are to say to my lord Esau. Your servant Jacob says, I have been staying with Laban and have remained there till now. I have cattle and donkeys, sheep and goats, male and female servants. Now I am sending this message to you, my lord, that I may find favor in your eyes." When the messengers returned to Jacob, they said, "We went to your brother Esau, and now he's coming to meet you, and 400 men are with him." In great fear and distress, Jacob divided the people who were with him into two groups, and the flocks and herds and camels as well. He thought, if Esau comes to attack one group, the group that is left may escape. Then Jacob prayed, "O God, my father Abraham, O God of my father Abraham." Sorry, I just am having a time reading. Anyways, "O God of my father Abraham, God of my father Isaac, Lord, you said to me, go back to your country and your relatives, and I will make you prosper. I am unworthy of all this kindness and faithfulness you have shown your servant. I had only my staff when I crossed to this Jordan, but now I have become two camps. Save me, I pray, from the hand of my brother Esau, for I am afraid he will come and attack me, and also the mothers with their children. But you have said, I will surely make you prosper, and will make your descendants like the sands of the sea, which cannot be counted." He spent the night there, and from what he had with him, he selected a gift for his brother Esau: 200 female goats and 20 male goats, 200 ewes and 20 rams, 30 female camels with their young, 40 cows and 10 bulls, and 20 female donkeys and 10 male donkeys. He put them in the care of his servants, each herd by itself, and said to his servants, "Go ahead of me, and keep some space in between the herds." He instructed the one in the lead, "When my brother Esau meets you and asks, 'Who do you belong to, and where are you going now? Or where are you going? And who owns all these animals in front of you?' Then you are to say, 'They belong to your servant Jacob. They are a gift sent to you, my lord Esau, and he is coming behind us.'" He also instructed the second, the third, and all the others who followed the herds. "You are to say the same thing to Esau when you meet him. And be sure to say..." Gosh, I keep forgetting to mute my phone. Alright. "And be sure to say, 'Your servant Jacob is coming behind us.' For he thought, 'I will pacify him with these gifts, and I am sending ahead. Later, when I see him, perhaps he will receive me.' So Jacob's gifts went on ahead of him, but he himself spent the night in the camp. So basically, Jacob's just very afraid of Esau because Jacob stole Esau's blessing and birthrights by tricking him. Because Esau went and he went out hunting, and he hadn't eaten for a very long time, and he asked Jacob to give him some food. And Jacob said, "Not until you give me your birthrights." And Esau then said, "Well, what good are my birthrights if I'm dead?" So he then gave Jacob his birthrights as the firstborn. So now Jacob has it, and then he did the same thing with the blessing. He pretended to be Esau, tricked his father, and then his father blessed him instead of Esau. Anyways, uh, Jacob wrestles with God, and it continues on in 22. That night, Jacob got up and took his 2 wives, his 2 female servants, and his 11 sons, and crossed the fjord of the Jabbok. After he had sent them across the stream, he sent over all his possessions, so Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him till daybreak. When the man saw that he could not overpower him, he touched the socket of Jacob's hip, so that his hip was wrenched as he wrestled the man. The man said, "Let me go, for it is daybreak." But Jacob replied, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." The man asked him, "What is your name?" "Jacob," he answered. Then the man said, "Your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel, because you have struggled with God and the humans, you have struggled with God and with humans and have overcome." Israel probably means he struggles with God. Okay. Jacob said, "Please tell me your name." But he replied, "Why do you ask my name?" Then he blessed him there. So Jacob called the place Peniel, which means face of God, saying, "It's because I saw God face to face, and yet my life was spared." Then the sun rose above him as he passed Peniel, or in Hebrew it's Penuel, and he was limping because of his hip. Therefore, the day of the Israelites do not eat the tendon attached to the socket of the hip, because the socket of Jacob's hip was touched near the tendon. Okay, kind of interesting. 33 goes on to say, Jacob meets Esau. Jacob looked, and there was Esau coming with his 400 men. So he divided the children among Leah, Rachel, and the 2 female servants. He put the female servants and their children in front, Leah and their children next, Rachel and Joseph in the rear. He himself went on ahead and bowed down to the ground 7 times as he approached his brother. But Esau ran to meet Jacob and embraced him. He threw his arms around his neck and kissed him, and they wept. Then Jesus, sorry, I was thinking of that one Bible verse. It says, and he wept. It's supposed to be like the shortest Bible verse. Anyways, then Esau looked up and saw the women and children. "Who are these with you?" he asked. Jacob answered, "They are the children God has graciously given your servant." Then the female servants and their children approached and bowed down. Next, Leah and her children came and bowed down. Last of all came Joseph and Rachel, and they too bowed down. Esau asked, "What is the meaning of all these flocks and herds I met?" "To find favor in your eyes, my lord," he said. But Esau said, I already have plenty, my brother. Now keep what you have for yourself." "No, please," said Jacob. "If I found favor in your eyes, accept these gifts from me. For to see your face is like seeing the face of God. Now that you have received me favorably, please accept the presents that was brought to you, for God has been gracious to me, and I have all I need." And because Jacob insisted, Esau accepted. Then Esau said, "Let us be on our way. I'll accompany you." But Jacob said to him, "My lord knows that the children are tender, and that I must care for the ewes and cows that are nursing their young. If they are driven hard just one day, all the animals will die. So let my lord go on ahead of his servant, while I move it along slowly at the pace of the flocks and herds before me, and the pace of the children, until I come to my lord in Seir." Esau said, "Then let me leave some of my men with you." "But why do that?" Jacob asked. "Just let me find favor in the eyes of my lord." So that day Esau started on his way back to Seir. Jacob, however, went to Succoth where he built a place for himself and made shelters for his livestock. That is why that place is called Succoth, which means shelters. I guess it's in Hebrew. So, after Jacob came from Padan Aram, that is northwest of Mesopotamia, he arrived safely at the city of Shem in Canaan and camped within the site of the city. For 100 pieces of silver, he bought from the sons of Hamor, the father of Shem, or Shechem, the plot of ground where he's pitched his tent. There he set up an altar and called it El Elo Israel, which can mean, El is the God of Israel, or Mighty is the God of Israel. So I guess it just depends on which way you want to look at it. But that was nice. They got together, and Jacob made friends with his brother again after all the bad stuff that he had done. And he did accept all the gifts, but wanted to leave some of his men behind. But Jacob said no, because Jacob had other plans, which was to go to whatever that place was in Succoth or something. And then he made his little home there and bought it with 100 pieces of silver. Or shekels? I don't know what the shekels are. So now this one's a doozy, because I looked at it and I saw one word. But I'm going to read it word for word. So, because there are some kind of things that can go other ways. And it's not really go other ways, but like some people don't like. I mean, a lot of people don't like. I don't like it. I don't even like reading it, but I will regardless. Anyways, this is Genesis 34. Dinah and the Shechemites, which is pretty funny to say. It reminds me of Vegemite for some reason. Now Dinah, the daughter of Leah, had born to Jacob, the daughter Leah had born to Jacob, which means it's Dinah is the daughter of Leah and Jacob. Went out to visit the women of the land. When Shechem, son of Hamor, the Hivite, the ruler of that area, saw her, he took her and raped her. His heart was drawn to Dinah, daughter of Jacob. He loved the young woman and spoke tenderly to her, and Shechem said to his father Hamor, "Give me this girl as my wife." When Jacob heard that his daughter Dinah had been defiled, his sons were in the fields with his livestock, so he did nothing about it until they came home. Then Shechem's father Hamor went out to talk with Jacob. Meanwhile, Jacob's son had come in from the field as soon as they heard what had happened. They were shocked and furious because Shechem had done an outrageous thing in Israel by sleeping with Jacob's daughter. Or outrageous thing against Israel, which is Jacob's name now. A thing that should not be done. So that's kind of self-explanatory. It's just something that shouldn't be done. But Hamor said to them, "My son Shechem has his heart set on your daughter. Please give her to him as his wife. Intermarry with us, give us your daughters, and take our daughters for yourselves. You can settle among us. The land is open to you. Live in it, trade in it, and acquire property in it. Or move freely. Or move about freely in that land," is what it also says. Then Shechem said to Dinah's father and brothers, "Let me find favor in your eyes, and I will give you whatever you ask. Make the price for the bride and the gift, and I'm going to bring as great as you like, and I'll pay whatever you ask of me. Only give me the young woman as my wife." Because their sister Dinah had been defiled, Jacob's sons replied deceitfully as they spoke to Shechem and his father Hamor. They said to them, "We can't do such a thing. We can't give our sister to a man who has not been circumcised. That would be disgrace to us. We will enter into agreement with you. only on one condition, that you become like us by circumcising all of your males. Then we will give you our daughters and take your daughters for ourselves. We'll settle among you and become one people with you. But if you do not agree to be circumcised, we'll take our sister and go." The proposal seemed good to Hamor and his son Shechem. The young man, who was the most honored of all his family, lost no time in doing what they said, because he was delighted with Jacob's daughter. So Hamor and his son Shechem went to the gate of their city to speak to the men of their city. "These men are friendly towards us. They said, 'Let them live in our land and trade in it. The land has plenty of room for them. We can marry their daughters and they can marry ours. But the men will agree to live with us as one people only on the condition that males be circumcised, as they are themselves. Won't their livestock, their property, and all their other animals become ours? So let us agree to their terms, and they will settle among us.' All the men who went out of the city gate agreed with Hamor and his son Shechem. Every male in the city was circumcised. 3 days later, while all of them were still in pain, 2 of Jacob's sons, Simon and Levi, Dinah's brothers, took their swords and attacked the unsuspecting city, and killing every male. They put Hamor and his son Shechem to the sword and took Dinah from Shem's house and left. The sons of Jacob came upon their dead bodies and looted the city because their sister had been defiled. So they looted the city because their sister is defiled, or where, as in, like, that's where it had happened. So it just depends on, like, which way you can understand it better. They seized their flocks and herds and donkeys and everything else of theirs in the city and out of the fields. They carried off all their wealth and all their women and children, taking as plunder everything in the house. Then Jacob said to Simon and Levi, "You've brought trouble on me by making me obnoxious to the Canaanites and Perizzites." That's a new one. The people living in this land, which are the Canaanites and Perizzites. "We are few in number, and if they join forces against me and attack me, I and my household will be destroyed." But they replied, "Should he have treated our sister like a prostitute?" So it's kind of a rhetorical question, like, well, he did this, so we thought that it would have been right to do this in, not repentance, but hold on. I guess vengeance might be the word I'm looking for. I don't know. And then Genesis 5, which is the last chapter we are going to read, which is kind of funny. Every time I've paused, it's been at 11 minutes, 22 minutes, and 33 minutes. So it's been in multiples 11. Not that you guys should have been able to tell, but maybe you guys could tell. I don't know. I've been talking a lot and needed a drink, so I've paused every 11 minutes. Anyways, Jacob returns to Bethel. And then it goes on to say in verse 1, "Then God said to Jacob, 'Go up to Bethel and settle there and build an altar there to God, who appeared to you when you were fleeing from your brother Esau.'" Did I read that right? "Then God said to Jacob, 'Go to Bethel and then build an altar.'" Verse 2, "So Jacob said to his household and to all who were with him, 'Get rid of the foreign gods you have with you and purify yourselves and change your clothes. Then come, let us go up to Bethel, where I will build an altar to God, who answered me in the day of my distress, and who has been with me wherever I have gone.' So they gave Jacob and all their foreign gods they had and the rings in their ears, and Jacob buried them under the oak at Shechem. Then they set out, and the terror of God fell on the towns all around them, so that no one pursued them." So in my mind, this is more like kind of sent out, I don't know, like earthquakes. kind of shake them up a little bit, quite literally. But it doesn't necessarily say that it was earthquakes, because it could have literally been he gave them all fear that something bad was going to happen, and then that was it. Like paranoia, I guess, which would be kind of funny. And I'd like, I don't know, just think like you're living in your town and everyone outside of your town, like directly the next town's over, everyone in there becomes paranoid that something bad's gonna happen. I don't know, it just makes me think of there's a movie like that, kind of, where everyone thinks something's bad's gonna happen, so they're all like looting everything and destroying, thinking that's the end of the world, when really nothing's happening at all. Verse 6, Jacob and all the people with them came to Luz. Ooh, excuse me. I guess I have the hiccups now, so that's fun. Jacob and all the people with him came to Luz, that's in Bethel, in the land of Canaan. There he built an altar, and he called that place El Bethel, which means God of Bethel, which is like Elohim, which this is kind of what I've found. El is a plural noun in biblical Hebrew that translates to gods or deities. The ending im in Hebrew usually indicates masculine plural. So this is what it was talking about. Like, it was usually referred to Jesus as Jehovah Elohim, which means the King James translators rendered Lord God. So basically, that's what they said. The King James said that Jehovah Elohim meant Lord God. Which, I mean, I kind of agreed with it. Because you're saying kind of the same thing twice. So you're just pluralizing it, I guess is the word. I don't know. I may have graduated school, but doesn't mean I learned anything from it. Anyways, to continue, it says, because it was there that God revealed himself to him when he was fleeing from his brother. Now Deborah, Rebekah's nurse, died and was buried under the oak outside of Bethel. So it was named Allon Bacuth, which means oak of weeping. Which kind of makes me wonder if there's any tree called that. Like there's a specific type of oak tree that's called that or something. Anyways. After Jacob returned from Padan Aram, God appeared to him again and blessed him. God said to him, your name is Jacob, but you will no longer be called Jacob. Your name will be Israel. So he named him Israel. God said to him, I am God Almighty. Be fruitful and increase in number. A nation and a community of nations will come from you, and kings will be among your descendants. The land I give to Abraham and Isaac, I also give to you, and I will give this land to your descendants after you. Then God went up from him at the place where he had talked with him. Jacob set up a stone pillar at the place where God had talked with him, and he poured out a drink offering on it. He also poured oil on it. Jacob called that place where God had talked about him Bethel, which means house of God, which it doesn't really mean anything, but I just find it funny how when Jacob set up the stone pillar, he poured a drink offering on it, which just makes me think of like pouring a cold one out for the boys. That's all I don't know. It's just what I think of. And then okay, good. I'm still recording. I wasn't sure if I was or not. The deaths of Rachel and Isaac. So, Rachel was his mother, I think. No. Isaac is his father. Rachel is his wife. Rebecca, I think. You know what? I don't even know. I don't remember. There's too many names. I'm trying to figure it all out. 16. They moved on from Bethel while they were still some distance from Phareth, Rachel began to give birth and had great difficulty. Keep in mind, Rachel's nurse had died a while ago. So there was really no one there to help out during the birth. As she was having a great difficulty in childbirth, the midwife said to her, "Do not despair, for you have another son." After she breathed her last, for she was dying, she named her son Ben-Oni. Ben-Oni means son of my trouble. But his father named him Benjamin, which means son of my right hand. So Rachel died and was buried on the way to Ephrath, that is Bethlehem. Over her tomb, Jacob set a pillar, and to this day, that pillar marks Rachel's tomb. So if you're ever bored and want to go on a scavenger hunt, you can go find this. Find Rachel's tomb. Then again, this is what, like, I think it's like 6,000 years, maybe it's 4,000 years ago. So you have to figure out how much dust and dirt's on top of that. Figure out how far down you need to look. Or you can get like some expensive sonar equipment if you're really into it, but I don't know how much it's going to cost. Anyways, 21. Israel moved on again and pitched his tent beyond Migdal Eder. I don't know. While Israel was living in that region, Reuben went in and slept with his father's concubine, Bilhah, and Israel heard of it. Jacob had 12 sons. The sons of Leah, Reuben, the firstborn of Jacob, Simon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun. And Leah also had Dinah, which is why Simon and Levi just completely wiped out the entire people of the guy, Shemek or something like that. And then sons of Rachel were Joseph and Benjamin. Benjamin was the last child that she just died giving birth to. The sons of Rachel's servant Bilhah, Dan and Naphtali. The sons of Leah's servant Zilpah, Gad and Asher. These were the sons of Jacob who were born to him in Padan Aram. Jacob came to his father's home, Jacob came home to his father Isaac in Mamre, near Kireth Arba. That is Hebron. So like when it says that is Hebron, this is like before the name was changed, and this is what it was changed to now. There, where Abraham and Isaac stayed. Isaac lived 180 years, then breathed his last and died, and was gathered to his people, old and full of years. And his son Esau and Jacob buried him. So basically, like, when Jacob came home a little bit after, like he stayed there for a while, and then Isaac died. So that Isaac is his father, and he lived 180 years, which is still kind of crazy to think of. Like, that is how long people used to live. But then slowly it's been decreasing because they used to live upwards of 700 years, and now people are living only like 180. Then again, that was like an unknown amount of time beforehand. So next time we're going to read of Esau's descendants. And I'm pretty sure it's just like the accounts of like, it's just saying all of the children of Esau and all of his little descendants from like his, say his great grandchildren, his great grandchildren and stuff like that. But yeah, that's going to be it for today. If you enjoyed, leave a like. If you didn't, also leave a like, because why not? I have series I'm doing, so I'm trying to do them regularly, but who knows? I'm doing this one the day before it comes out, and then I have more to record. So, as always,
God bless you all, and peace out,